Starcast, the official podcast of the Billingham Stars. Watch and listen for the latest news from the Big Red Machine.
Hello everybody, welcome back. It's a brand new series of your Billingham Stars podcast. It's Starcast. It is season 2, episode 1, and a special summer edition as we talk about the plans so far for your Big Red Machine, who had quite a successful season last year, as we remember talking about. Delighted to be joined again by Carol and by Jono. Yes, if you count the other one. But yeah, hope everybody's well this summer. It's the second week of Wimbledon. The sun's shining at the minute. It wasn't yesterday, but you know that's the summer for you. Hope everybody's well. Carol and Jono, how are we? How are we summering so far?
Summering very well for me. Yeah, summering very, very, very well.
Very good.
Really good so far. Hope the weather holds up.
Excellent. Yeah, indeed. And what we'll do on this episode, we'll talk about the signings so far for your Billingham Stars. The names have been coming out from our media team. That one. With our one-word PRs, which have gone down very well. People guessing who's who. This is Wednesday as we publish this, so there will be another one tonight. So if you keep an eye on social media for more news from your Big Red Machine. We'll talk about the signings that we've made. Have a look around the league. We had a couple of people get in touch. We asked for mailbag questions back into last week. So we had a couple of people get in touch with the same question, to be fair. So we'll mention that and get that covered as well. And have any other business, anything else that Carol and John or myself want to talk about. Before we start the signings, I think just as we published the last episode of last season, Conor McNulty went and signed somewhere else. So just a thought on Conor McNulty with the Edinburgh Capitals now in the SNL. Travelling wise, a lot better for him. Obviously, hockey wise, it was great having him at Billingham and signing off in Sheffield that weekend performance where he won 2 trophies that weekend. I don't know if you remember. But yeah, Carol, your Conor McNulty thoughts as he heads to the Scottish capital.
Obviously gutted that he's gone, but it's completely understandable. It was really tough for him last season to put in all those miles, for which we'll always be forever grateful. And I know he bonded so well with the lads. I mean, I think they've all been on holiday this summer, so it's not a hockey decision in that respect. It's almost certainly a mileage decision, which is absolutely fine. This at this level, this is an amateur sport. You have to take everything into consideration when you decide when you're going to play, where you're going to play hockey. And for Conor, I'm absolutely sure he had a absolutely phenomenal season last year. And I know that he enjoyed it, and I know his family enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, it takes it out of you. Those just being in the car for that long. We'll get to the end of the season. We'll ask Whitley Warriors what they feel about travelling. But it certainly it does take it out of you, and it's a completely understandable decision, and a great team for him to go to as well. So wish him all the luck in the world and all the best, and I hope he wins lots and lots of Scottish silverware.
Yeah. First, as Carol was saying, for those who don't know, he's obviously based on the west coast of Scotland. He was coming down on a Thursday. He was training Thursday night with us, and he was staying down in Billingham Thursday, Friday, the weekend, and going home either whenever the last game was, be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whenever he was travelling. And he was driving back often on his own, as I say, and going back to work again on a Monday. So doing a hell of a lot of miles, and Kilmarnock to Edinburgh is a lot more palatable for a Sunday commute than a weekend round trip to Teesside. So, Jono, your thoughts of Conor? We saw him obviously the pre-season games last year, where he kind of sprang the surprise and kind of he never stopped scoring after that, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who I was speaking to recently about him, and he put it so simple as that he came, he scored, he won it all, and he left. It was quite as simple as that, and it's exactly what he did. From the first training session, and he turned up, shirt and tie, polite, meeting all the lads. From Alan putting him straight into the deep end against the Warriors, and I think he scored something like, was it 4 goals and 6 assists or something like that over the weekend? And it was like, yeah, this kid's the real deal. And then all the way through the season, he came up with big goals. He got a big goal in Widnes, if I remember rightly. He scored good goals. And if you go back to the playoff weekend, he probably was at 2 of the best 4 goals of the weekend. Well, 2 of the best top 3 goals of the weekend. He's just a magnificent player. I love the kid. I've got his shirt behind me. It's up there. One of the playoff winning jerseys from the playoff weekend. And but the travel, I'd hate to have seen what he looked like at the end of the season. I think it probably took a few days for his body just to go, what have you been doing to me? Because of all that travel, just madness. And to perform at the level that he did, he's left a huge hole, and it won't be filled. Someone will step into that role, and it won't be to the level of what Conor McNulty did it, because he was a fantastic player at such a young age.
Yeah, no, 100%. Just looking on the NIHL stats, he had 6 goals in 6 playoff games, and he had 14 goals in 25 league games, and 50 points or so there all across the season as well. So a big hole to fill on the roster. We'll come to that as we talk about signings. But yes, wish Conor all the very best for everybody at the Billingham Stars with your new club in the Edinburgh Capitals in the SNL. So as you've seen over the last couple of weeks, the Big Red Machine has started announcing the players for their new campaign, which gets underway in the autumn. And the Media Machine, as mentioned earlier, the Media Machine came up with the one-word PR. We'll start with that, Carol. The idea of that, and obviously getting Foz and Richie to buy in and give you their succinct, and getting one word out of Foz is difficult. I know this to be true, but keeping Foz to one word, and the one-word PR, how did that come about?
I think I was just looking around at how other teams were announcing. There's been some really clever stuff going on. There's a lot of teams going down the emoji route. There's teams going down the text screen route. All quite quirky and fun, and getting fans engaged and getting them to have a guess at who the player might be. And I wanted us to do something like that, but I didn't necessarily want us to do something that somebody else had already done. So I just picked something that I knew that I could get. Dare I say it? I knew that I could get the coaches to buy into, because getting massive interviews out of coaches, getting them to give up lots of time at any time. But when it's the summer and you want a little bit of time off, I didn't really want to impinge on people's, off season too much. So I thought, do you know what? If they could just give me one word to describe that player, I can use it as a bit of a gimmick to get people guessing. I mean, obviously some are always going to be easier than others. But I just wanted to get a flavour of each player, so that people could have a little guess and have a little bit of fun. And from that point of view, it has actually worked quite well, because I think everybody's been guessing every player so far. We've had some way out guesses. We've had some, in the main, we've had them spot on. So obviously our coaches know our players, and so do our fans. And
been reading the on the social, when people have been guessing, you get like half a dozen different people, and well, that's quite clearly player A, and like you got 6 different opinions for the same word, and it's like it's been really good engagement. So great job on that. And the players themselves, Jono, do you want to start? We'll go position by position and talk about who's been signed as of Tuesday night. The latest one went live at 7:00 on Tuesday night. As I said, there's another one coming tonight, Wednesday. But as of now, we'll start in net, and the dynamic duo, you could say, Jono, have come back, Jacob and Mark, and the figures bear it out, and the best duo in the division last year.
Yeah, and I think as a tandem, they'll be the best tandem this year as well. I know teams have made signings of goalies. D-side have brought one in from national level. Blackburn have brought an old face back from national level. Singly, yet they are good netminders, but you are gonna have moments where you need to. And as of right now, we've got the best two in the division. And Mark did an absolute unreal job when Jacob went down injured at Christmas time. The wheels could have came off slightly, but Mark stood up big time. We even had a funny chat with him. I think it was in the Kings. I can't remember after what we'd won. We'd won something, a cup or league. I can't remember which one it was.
It was
just winning things too much.
They all blew into one eventually, John.
We were in the Kings after the Warriors game when we got the control.
Yeah, and but he was fully understood that he knew the crowd didn't have the trust in him, and he knew that, he knew himself that the crowd didn't think that the faith was there in him, and he said he knew that, and he had to prove something. And I think there was a game in D-side where I think he won as the game personally. He was an absolute wall. For whatever confidence he took from that, he became an absolute monster. And I think he said he admitted himself that that turned his season around, and he looked around and thought, you know what, yeah, I'm comfortable here. I'm very comfortable. I can play at this level. And he came on to be an absolute hero when it came down to the playoff final, when Jacob sadly went down again. With Jacob, we know what we get. He's the coolest man about. I mean, he's so casual and laid back. I'm surprised he isn't laid down half the time. But he's a great netminder, fully composed, and he knows that he's got a great netminder behind him, pushing him all the way as well.
Yeah. No, 100%. And Mark, I made the comment when Mark's signing was confirmed, and we've said it a couple of times on here as well. He only lost one game all season, and that was the very last one. Mark had 11 wins and no losses right until the Coventry game. So that's perfect what you want from your backup. And as John said, Carol, not just wins, but the timing of the wins as well. Like you said, the pre-Christmas game in D-side, the cup semi-finals, he was unbeatable at times.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what you want. I think Mark would be the first to say last season was easily his best. I'm not sure where he thinks the crowd didn't necessarily have the faith in him. I think he's always had it in him. I think we've always seen flashes of it. Maybe it's a consistency thing. Maybe in the past it wasn't consistent enough. But I've always thought he was a great netminder. I just think he stepped it up massively last season. And yes, that D-side game probably was the turning point, because he was absolutely immense. Absolutely immense. He played such a massive role when you look at it, when you look back now, benefit hindsight and all that. Playing the cup semi-finals, so effectively helping us to get to the final. When Jacob unfortunately went down in that playoff final, and the first shot that Mark has to face in anger is a penalty shot, and he just didn't look fazed at all. It's like, okay, fine, if that's what I need to do, that's what I need to do. We're very, very, very lucky in Billingham that we have not had our fair share of nutty goalkeepers. Everybody goes on about netminders being a little bit Looney Tunes, and in the main they are. But for some reason in Billingham, we seem to get the laid back sorts. Jacob's practically horizontal, and Mark's not. He's not fiery either. He just goes about his job. Just gets on with it.
Unless you steal his stick.
Unless you steal his stick, and then he tends to get a bit peed off. And there was that.
Clear his crease at Whitley Bay that one time as well. He kind of
he did get a 2+2 for possibly losing his cool a little bit last season, but in the main, the pair of them are just super cool and just get on with the jobs. And John has already said it, best netminding duo in the league when you look around the signings that have been made so far. Yes, there are National League keepers in there now, but as a tandem, we've got the best one. Yeah,
no, I would agree with that. So welcome back to Jacob and Mark, and we'll see what happens with any sort of third goalie or whatever happens with that. So they're the two goalies signed so far. Moving in front of the goalies, we have our blue line. As we mentioned in the last pod, obviously we've lost two big parts of that with Tommy Spraggan and Joe Walls. So it's obviously a tough act to replace those kind of things. But the guys who've signed again, we have Ben Greenhalgh, we have Joe Dowdle, we've got James Helens, and we've got Darren Satsfield coming back to the fore. Yeah. So the 4 signed up so far. Again, possibly 1 or 2 to come along as well. We'll have to wait and see what the management pull out of the hat. But yeah, Carol, do you want to start off us on the D? We've got Ben, Joe, James, and the Eagle, Pigeon, whoever.
Pigeon.
Pigeon.
So you've thrown me now. No, I mean obviously losing Tommy was a blow, but it's a blow we expected. I noted with interest an interview that Dom Osman, the Blackburn coach, gave. I think it was last week about this isn't a development league. It is. Sorry, I've got a lot of time for Dom, but at the end of the day, this is the 3rd tier of British hockey, and the pool of players is tiny. So our job at this level is partly to produce players that will hopefully feed into a larger pool of players further up, because that's to the development of the sport as a whole. And over the years, Billingham's done that time and time again. We've produced players that have moved on. The current Great Britain captain is a Billingham boy, and we're all super proud of that. And we'll just continue to do our job in that respect. So Tommy, yes, we lost him, but that's what we're here to do, is to give these kids a chance to shine and to move on, and that's exactly what he's done. So good luck to Tommy, by the way. Joe is a blow, but he was really struggling commitment-wise last year with his life outside of hockey, and he needs to take that step back. And that's, that's completely understandable. Hopefully, it's not forever. I'm hoping it's adieu rather than goodbye. But we'll do what we always do, we've got a solid decor, very, very young. James Helens for me is one of the best D men at this level. Darren's a character, and I think he proved last season that coming back to N1 was the best decision for him. Joe, I'm glad he's come back. Obviously, at the end of the season, he wasn't even quite the end of the season, but towards the end of the season, he took that big knock, and that meant he missed out on all the good fun. So I'm sure he's kind of raring to come back and to get involved again. And Ben's just, so versatile. Obviously for Stars, most people know him as a D-man, but you put him up front and he's not out of place either. So having those sorts of players is absolute gold dust, having those guys that can just adapt to wherever you want them to play. So I'm not particularly concerned at this point. We've got a solid 4 guys there, and looking forward to see what else we can add.
Yeah. Do you want your call on the blue line?
Yeah, the 4 we've got are as good as anyone else has signed. Even if they've got National League reps to them. Darren's a great stay-at-home defenseman. Likes to pinch on the play. We've seen him get 1 or 2 goals, and seeing that celebration of his that we've come accustomed to with him. Joe Dowdle, just an absolute steady as a rock. Plays the game easy, doesn't put himself or anyone in trouble, just keeps it very simple, which I like a lot. James Helens, Carol's mentioned it, probably top 3 D men in the league quite easily. You can probably move that up to top 2. Now Tommy's moved on. And Ben, I think he's just gone from strength to strength, and I think he will have a bigger role to play. And I think will probably be a bit more dependable, and I think he'll be a lot more reliable moving on to next season. I think he moves into being just 19 years old himself. Which is incredible because he's been around forever already. A real solid 4. A 4 that any team would break into, any team's top 4 in the division without an absolute doubt. So the talent is still there, and it's time to move on, and from 2 players that are irreplaceable.
Yeah, and we hope Ben obviously continues with the Thunder, the goals as well. His little Thunder.
Yeah. He's got a great shot at it, and he's becoming very well known for the thunderclap.
Very,
Well
very
done.
well edited, John. Thank you. We'll mention this now because we mentioned at the top we asked for some mailbag, you could call it, but we had two messages and they were both asking the same question. It was Mick Fern on email and it was Zoe Dykes on Facebook. Basically, just the point we've just made. We've lost Tommy and Joe W. What are we going to do to replace them? And I think what we've said is obviously those four have come through the system. I think we'll look inside first. We've got the books. We've got the guys coming through. We'll look to promote from within first, and I don't know what's out there. I know I would like to think we'll have been in on a couple of players that signed elsewhere earlier in the summer, but for whatever reason weren't successful. But we'll have to leave that on to Alan, who notoriously he don't think playing cards close to his chest. I don't think he even comes close to describing how Alan works. But I think we'll certainly be promoting from within first, and then seeing what's available out there. Because actually we can't go with 4D. We're going to have more than the 4D. But your thoughts on where we go with extra D, Carol?
Yeah, well, this is what we said we were going to do when we came back from COVID. Is develop our own players and promote from within. So you bang on there. We'll look to our own ranks first before we start looking elsewhere. That's what the Billingham ethos has been. It's been very successful. There are players within the system here that deserve a chance. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Isn't that what they say? So I think we'll try not to second guess Alan, because let's face it, I will fail miserably. But I think we will be looking to what we've got first before we start trying to attract players in. We at the end of the day, we're not a club that can start throwing money at players to come and play for us when we've deliberately set ourselves up to produce our own players. So we'll see. I think I know that's probably not the answer that either Zoe or Mick wanted to hear, but at the end of the day, I'm sure Alan's got it covered. Have faith.
Yeah. Trust the process, I think, is the
process. That's the one.
The catchphrase of the last year or so. Anything to add on that, John, or the extra D, where we could find those from for next year?
Yeah, I mean, I know fans clamour for signings and they'll see what's going on around the league, but you kind of got to look at it, the bigger picture a lot of the time, and see where we're located. If you look at the teams that are around us, you've got Whitley Bay. Their best players they'll want to keep because they're going on a new adventure up in the SNL. And then the other three teams, what are Solway, Leeds, Hull, and even Sheffield, they're all National League teams. So it's hard to find players who will want to move away from home, for one. And then you've got to reimburse a lot of lads who are going to do a lot of travelling. So if you've got a system that we bang our drums about for years after years, and it always produces players, you might as well use it. Look at the troubles that Blackburn have without an academy that doesn't produce players, because they're just starting again at the bottom. They've literally got to go out and find players from here, there, and everywhere. They're in a position where, or located a place where they can bring players in. But we don't have that. We have a system that works. It's worked for years. It's probably one of the best in the country for bringing talent through. When you think about it and look back to the talent that it's brought through, whether you're looking at Michael Farn, Richie Thornton, who played Elite League, you got Rob Dowd, who's captain of GB, Stephen Wallace, who's also gone off to do things. This club always produces. So if we've got that farm system, the junior years system's obviously loaded with kids as well. Let's just keep bringing them through and see what they've got. And you never know, they might just be the next Tommy Spraggan and move on, or the Finn Braden, who a lot expect to have a huge year in Leeds next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we'll see what, as Carol says, don't second guess the boss man. We'll see what transpires over the coming weeks. And but thanks to Mick and to Zoe getting in touch. We'll do another mailbag later in the summer, I'm sure. But that's your defence so far for the Billingham Stars. Will there be another one this week? Who knows? The forward lines. The forwards that have signed so far, in no particular order, Lucas Dowdle, Roland Grittans, Michael Elder, Sean Galloway, Callum Wilkinson, James Moss, Alex Preston, the returning Alex Preston, and just announced on Tuesday night was Sam Dowd. So again, the core of the forward line's coming back. Obviously, we've got Alex Preston coming back as well. John, you can start on the forward lines. What's your thoughts on that so far?
Yeah, a good start with the forward group. Obviously, with Connors leaving, there's a big hole there, so you're going to see someone in training give everything they can to take that spot. I'm sure Lucas has probably got an eye on it. Alex will have an eye on it. So the competition for players is still going to be, for places on the higher lines, is still going to be there. It's just a good start. We know how good they are. We know how good they can be. And they will push each other to be better, especially when there's a fight for a second line spot there as well.
Yeah. Anybody stand out for you, Carol?
Well, obviously, I'm pleased that Alex has come back. Obviously, he wasn't able to ice for us last season. He's probably a bit miffed because he missed out on all the fun as well. But he gets to come back and remind everybody of what he can do, which is great. Great tonight that we've been able to announce Sam coming back. Again, this whole ethos of development, bringing players through. Sam is exceptionally quick, and his development over the last few seasons, just learning a little bit more of getting his hockey brain in gear. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of that this season. The forward lines were so productive last year. I mean, we had how many record breakers and players putting up all-time best points totals and all the rest of it. Of all of those players, we've lost Connor, and that's all. So it's really good to see these players coming back. The likes of Rowley, who is probably going to be a Billingham legend forever now. Whatever happens, great to see him back. And obviously he's a good two-way player as well. He can play in D if we need him to. So yeah, all in all, it's a really good start. Obviously, I'm sure the fans are looking for a few names there, but fear not, we've not finished with signings just yet.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing with Alex Preston, a couple of people mentioned it on the socials when he was announced. It is the return of.
Oh. Do we have to?
Well, I think if he's on the line with Shuggy again, I think it'll be a given to see who gets off last. We'll just start them getting off like 15 minutes before everybody else.
Give them a different time, it'll be fine.
They should be fine. But yeah, again, strong start. So still names to come, as Carol says. So we'll see what transpires in the coming weeks. Still plenty of time before puck drops in the autumn. Still plenty that happen for your Big Red Machine. What we'll do is we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about the rest of the NIHL North Division 1, including a new team this year, as we mentioned last pod as well. Telford Tigers stepping their second team up into Division 1. So we'll talk all about the teams and the recruitment around the division so far. But for now, we'll take a break and be back shortly. This is Starcast. Welcome back to this Season 2 opener of Starcast. As we've finished talking about the Billingham Stars signings so far, we're going to have a quick look around the rest of the NIHL North Division 1, go through the teams in alphabetical order, just because that's how it's written down on the bit of paper in front of me. And then we'll talk about Carol and John. I'll just go through any players that catch their eye of the signings announced so far. So, Jono, we can start with yourself and we're top of the list alphabetically, figuratively, and metaphorically. But then next in line, the Blackburn Hawks. They've probably announced the most signings so far. Anything stand out for yourself from the Hawks?
Yeah, other than the big changes that they're going through, they're obviously going for it. I think a certain club has probably given them sleepless nights over, their management sleepless nights over the last, last season or so, cleaning up like we did last year. But when you look at the list straight away, one name sticks out massively is Harrison Walker from Leeds. He's a great netminder. He's certainly going to make them a much better team. He's an upgrade on what they had last year. And also, you've got to think that a full season with Andrew McKinney as well. As much as he's one of those type of players, he is very talented, and you can imagine he will put up a boatload of points for Blackburn amongst the rest of the signings that they've made.
Yeah, no,
but they're the two for me. Harrison Walker and Andrew McKinney, probably the two standouts that they've announced so far.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. Carol, you mentioned the Hawks talk with Dom last week's episode that they put out. He also mentioned that they've kind of abandoned their two-way thoughts of that they tried last year after getting bitten too many times. So it's kind of Blackburn first, and Blackburn, as Jono says, is laying a marker down and going for it.
Yeah, it's quite revealing actually, that interview podcast. If you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend it actually. I think it was quite unusual to hear somebody admit straight out that they kind of abandoned their original plan, which was basically Blackburn originally were going to bring talent through. They were going to create pathways. I remember them going quite heavily public on, we're going to create these pathways for players to come through and be able to move up. And they've kind of chucked all that in the bin and decided that they are going to win everything. And to do that, they need a stacked roster, which is what they're going for. It's going to be quite interesting for me because we kind of, if you've been around the sport any length of time, we've kind of been here before with Blackburn, in that they've kind of gone out and done this before as a strategy. So what was it, 2000 and I want to say 14, somewhere around there anyway, about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, their invincible season achieved with players ostensibly not from Blackburn, and it worked. It is a strategy that worked. It's just, I don't know, a little bit confusing to me for a team to have what they called it was a 3-year plan that they've kind of got to the end of year 2 and go, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do something completely different because the directors want us to win everything. So it was quite unusual to hear that in an interview, but brave to hear it said out loud. It's a stated ambition now. They need to win everything to kind of justify the direction they've taken. So I guess they've put a lot of pressure on themselves. And it's going to be completely contrasting style. Obviously, where the ones with all the loot, we've got all the silverware, and on paper or in theory, we're the ones to be shot at. But we're not kind of changing our direction at all. We're kind of sticking with our own ethos and going the way that we usually go. And I think you're going to see this season the contrast in how that works is building a team, as in a team that plays for a logo and a name on the front, as opposed to a collection of individuals that have been put together to make a team, which is what Blackburn are going to have to do next year. They're going to have to put these players together and make a team. So it's a very interesting approach. The pressure, by the way, thanks Blackburn, you've just taken quite a lot of pressure off us, because the pressure is all on you guys now. You've stated your ambition, you've gone out, you've got these players. It's up to you to kind of follow it through now. So we're all going to watch with interest, I think, and see what happens there. But it's an approach that's worked for them before. That's all I'm going to say. So we will see what happens next. But they are now the team to beat. Yeah,
we shall see. And from watching from close quarters as we do, at least 4 times a year. So we'll see what happens in Blackburn. We'll stay with you, Carol, on the D-side Dragons. North Wales, the land of song, and also this year, apparently the land of 2-year contracts.
Yeah, that's been quite fun, hasn't it? I've loved what they've done with the promotion this off season. It's been quite fun to watch. They're obviously got an awful lot of ambition in North Wales. That North-West kind of rivalry is going to be quite interesting as well, isn't it? It's going to be fun to watch the Hawks and the Dragons battle it out over there next season. They're not having that daft M56 thing again, are they?
I don't know.
Don't think so.
But it's going to be quite interesting. Obviously, they've given Big Jake a slightly different role. They've stated their intent. They've brought in players that they think can move them on. Have they done enough on their D? They've definitely upgraded in the netminding department, that's for sure. But have they done enough on that? That was their big problem last season. That was their massive Achilles heel was defence. Have they done enough to shore that up? We shall wait and see. But certainly D-side, I think, are going to be the fun team to watch next season. And I do like what they've been doing on the socials. So well done.
Yeah. Jono, D-side?
Yeah, I think the main thing for them this year was what they were going to do defensively. I don't know how many shows we had last year where we talked about the D-side defense or lack of D-side defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have improved it already. Matty Wainwright coming back will strengthen that defense straight away. I know he didn't play much, if any, at all last year. Bringing in Ethan Mayo straight is probably their standout D-man straight up. And obviously another team that have brought in a National League goalie and Tyler Delabatouche. So they've improved those two areas massively. We know what we'll get off them forwards-wise. If Jake moves his feet, God knows how many goals and points he'll score. He's brought a mate over with him this time in Colin Cromie. What a name for a young lad, Colin. 25-year-old Colin. But yeah. Colin. So I've watched a bit of him on YouTube, as you can do these days, so it'll be very interesting to see what he brings D-side. And they've got the usual forwards in Kennedy and Dickinson who will do a lot of work. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two do move back to play defence permanently to improve that forevermore. But yeah, we know that where they struggled massively last year, they've made attempts to improve it. Whether they improve it anymore before the start of the season, time will tell. But at least they've acknowledged that where they needed to improve and they've gone out and started to improve that.
Yeah. No, again, we'll wait with bated breath. Jake, we know what he can do on the offensive end. If he got his mate, if they go all in and play them both on the same line, who knows what they can do offensively wise. And the Dragons, we shall see. Obviously, the obligatory Billog mentioned they've signed Phil Pearson as well, so still the Billog connection in the Dragons net on occasion this season. So we'll see what happens in North Wales. We'll move to the chipspice.com arena, and they've only just started their announcement, so only a couple of players in or so. The Hull Jets, Carol.
Well, yeah, they've only just started announcing, but getting Richie Hagger in early was key. I actually don't think it's really an issue of personnel for Hull, because I fully expect them to look a lot like they did last year, missing a couple, bringing some guys through. But it was the whole turning from home fortress into collapsing at home last season that I think they'll probably be keener to address. So I fully expect Hull to look similar to what they did this last season gone. But yeah, I think they'll probably be looking to turn that Chip Spice Arena back into the home fortress that it was, because last season did not go to plan from that point of view. yeah, they'll be there or thereabouts. I've no doubt, but there will be a few changes, but I don't think that many.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Jono, from Hull?
Yeah, just pretty much echo what Carl said. The bit of solid start in Rich Hagger, he'll bring you plenty of goals. The import defenseman as well, he'll show things up. Not a massive standout player, David Jurnox, but he'll bring them something. We know one or two will probably go Seahawks permanently, like probably is Alex Kent after Reese Edwards moved down to D side and left them. So there is a hole there. But yeah, Andy Dayton is the coach. He knows what he's doing there. It's all about development for them and making those players the next Seahawks. They'll be tough to beat. I think they'll probably step up again this year after last season. The second season hurt them. Well, they expected a lot more of themselves, but they got found out quite easy. I expect to see a tougher Hull, especially at home.
Yeah, no, agree with that. And like you say, with Andy and Mike Roddy, they always set them up well. They know what they're doing. They all stick with their system. So they're very much the Hull way of playing. So we'll see them in the autumn as well. Leeds Knights, their NIHL 1 team, made their debut last year. We seem to face them pretty much at every turn on occasion. But they have made a couple of changes, and Leeds Knights have started to make some announcements as well. John, you can kick us off on Leeds.
Yeah, I think again it could be very much an unknown quantity of what they will bring. A lot of 16-year-olds stepping up from their 18 side, so be a lot more fresh and new talent coming through. I'd say the year 2 guys now of Leeds Knights will be expected to kick on. The likes of Ewan Dells and Edgar Ventures, you'd expect them to be up there, the point scoring, be game winners for them, stand out, dominating parts of games. That's what Leeds Knights seniors will expect from these players. So I think Leeds will probably be one of those teams where they'll shock teams and get a shock result somewhere, but also still prone to having a bad night or two where they get heavily beaten.
Yeah. And they obviously, again, hashtag Billock Connection. Andy Munro is back as assistant coach alongside Davy Lawrence. So we'll see those guys on Billingham Stars TV, I'm sure, this season. Your thoughts on Leeds, Carol? Anything?
Pretty much what John was saying. It's year 2 now, and I think actually they surprised themselves in year 1. I think making the playoffs was a real bonus for them. But they'll expect more from themselves now. They kind of need to be a bit more battle hardened, which they weren't last year. They'll go into this season tougher. They know more of what they're doing now. But as they are bringing new faces through all the time there, because Leeds' development system is very, very good. So bringing those new faces in, John was right, they are still going to be a bit of an unknown quantity. So who knows what we're going to expect from them, but I think what we can expect from them is some real talent. They had that last year. I mean, we raved about some of their guys pretty much every week. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be any different this coming season. So very talented, but I think that toughness that they needed last season is going to be there a little bit more this year.
Yeah. And the latest instalment of making Craig feel very old is Jonas Bennett is now going to play senior hockey. Seth Bennett is his dad, is the chairman of the Leeds Juniors. I remember seeing Jonas start playing when he was like 8 or 9 in Manchester Juniors, and now he's playing senior hockey. And it's like old. Comes to us all. But yeah, we'll see what the Leeds Knights do. Next 2 on the list, I don't think we've had anything from Nottingham and Sheffield, unless I've missed anything.
No,
but I think we know what we can expect from both those teams. They're very heavily development focused. Sheffield came out with their statement of intent last season. They're going to be stacked with academy players. We pretty much know that. If you're from Sheffield, you're playing for Sheffield this season. So that system is being set up as a pathway all the way from Diddy kids all the way up to the Steelers. So so I think we know what we can expect from Sheffield. We just don't have faces to go with it. And to a certain extent, Nottingham's the same because they've been doing this for years now. So, they are the ultimate development team. They've been doing it for so long. We kind of forget that that's what they are. And to a certain extent, they're going to be, as you were, Nottingham kids, play for Nottingham before they move on elsewhere. That's how it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. Anything to add, John?
No, Nottingham's a funny one. If they can keep hold of Somerton and Rushby, they could be very much a handful this year. Them being another year development, a lot wiser with a guy like Alice Padelec. But if those two kids go off to play at a high level, which they are good enough to do, it could be a bit of a reboot for Nottingham as well. Because I know a lot of the kids, obviously, they're a bit of an older team last year, Nottingham, a lot less face cages, shall we say, than we'd expect to see with them. Sheffield, don't have a clue what they're going to pull out. They will have, I'm sure, one or two senior guys to help them on the way, but we're probably not going to see that until close to the league campaign starting.
Yeah, we'll see how their pathway. They've obviously got the Steelers down at the Dogs, and then the Sims and the Titans, as Carol says, the juniors below that. So a full-on Sheffield pathway there. The Solihull Barons, Hobbs Moat Road, the best chippy in the NIHL. I've heard tell. They've started there over the last week or so. Obviously, they had Otterson's testimonial in the summer. He played for both teams to maximise his ice time, obviously. That was a little uncalled for. Sorry, Craig, and I didn't mean it. Yes, I did. So, yeah, Solihull have started. Obviously, Otterson's back, and they've started recruiting. Carol, do you want to start us off with your thoughts on Solihull?
Well, Solihull are always going to be there or thereabouts, even when they're not as focused as... this season's off-season has been quite productive for Solihull compared to... I always compare us to Solihull in terms of off-season because they're usually a little bit like us, a bit quiet, don't seem to do that much. But this season, no, they're a lot more vocal. They've been out there shouting about signings. They got the key piece of the puzzle done early because there was rumours that Nick Otterson might be considering retirement, but clearly has decided, he wants to hang on to his best import in the league tag for another season. So, they're always going to be a tough outfit to get past. They just need to make sure that when they're putting this new team together with these new faces, that they're gelling a little bit like Blackburn. Really, is just making sure that your individual signings are going to gel as a team at the end of the day. So I fully expect Solihull to be as tough as they ever were, because that's kind of the Solihull way. They're never going to be out of the running, really. So yeah, good start for them. I'm quite intrigued to see where they end up as a squad.
Yeah. And hashtag Billog Phil Lee behind the bench as well.
You forgot Blackburn's bit of Billog, by the way.
Who's that?
Sam.
Oh, Sam W.
Sam W. Yeah, every team's got to have a Billog connection. So there you go. There's
yeah, we'll get that. Yes.
There's Blackburn.
Solihull, Jono.
Yeah, we've had a good start. I mean, on paper, they've made a couple of glamorous signings, haven't they? A couple from National League. I think when you look into it a lot more, and one of them we know very well from his time at Skims, Tyler Nixon. So we know what he's all about. I think the big one for them was obviously Otterson, would he or wouldn't he? And he's come back for another year. But yeah, they made a solid signing. I think the best signing so far is probably Alex White. He's a fantastic two-way player. Often gets put up with the top line when there's an injury to one of the star forwards. Be interesting to see what they do with him this year, whether they put him back in defence or on forward. They've obviously managed to keep Corey Goodison as well. There was talk of him maybe going to Telford Tigers 2, but that didn't materialise. He stayed in Solihull. And they managed to pull Jacob Race over from Telford as well, which is a bit of a big pull and a blow for Tigers too.
Yeah, no, they're building a tidy little team, so we'll see what happens the rest of the summer. And a nice segue, John, I mentioned in Tigers too. They are the next team on the list, new to the NIHL 1 this season. And again, they've started making some announcements with their Division 1 team. And you can start us, Jono. What's happened so far in Telford?
Yeah, well, obviously they've lost. I think that's a Jacob Race. I meant Lucas Price. That's probably a big miss for them. But they've got the ever green Jason Silverthorne. Stars fans might remember him from when we had them in our league a few years ago when they couldn't trust to spend the money correctly, and we had to bail them out and let them in our division. And we had the likes of Jason Silverthorne running riot in our division. A fantastic talent that he is now 45 years old. So whether he can still cause havoc will remain to be seen. No talk of Vladimir Luki yet, but I'm pretty sure he'll be back. He wanted to stay in Telford, hence why he ended up playing Division 2 last year. He'll be a handful for them. And then Finley Howells, due to work commitments, has dropped down from the Tigers as well. So he'll certainly put some points up, depending on his availability. So they have made a good start to their recruitment. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they go. We expect them to be pretty much like last year's roster, with young Stanton coming through as well. So it's going to be very much a learning curve for them, but something that Telford Tigers 1 need. They had a lot of issues with injuries last year and didn't really have players to call up on due to Telford being in Division 2.
Yeah, no, we'll wait and see what the management there do. Obviously, Tommy Watkins, shrewd operator at this level, so we'll see what happens. And Carol, any condiment-related shenaniganery aside, I think we said last pod, it's good to have Telford back in our division, and look forward to those games and say another development team following the kind of the development ethos of the division.
Kudos for getting Starcast in. Also, Tom Watkins, there's your Telford Billock connection, because every team needs one. We've been saying it for a few seasons now that Telford really needed to make that step up. Whether or not this was kind of manufactured due to somebody up the road leaving, I don't know, but whichever way it was, it's a really good move that Telford have moved up. We haven't seen a Telford team in our league. Let's just ignore the time when Telford Tigers were forced to be in our league, but we haven't seen a Telford development team in our league since the Titans, and that was quite some time ago. So it's great to see them back. John was spot on. This is what the Telford national team needed. It's really, they've got some really, really talented players there. Taylor Stanton's just so good. I'm hoping he's around for us to see him in person. Jason Silverthorne, him and Vladimir Luka, that'll be some combined age for sure.
Well, they've only announced 2 players so far in Finley Howells and Jason Silverthorne, and their average age is already at 34 years old.
There you go. Yeah.
And Finley Howells is only 22.
You stick Vladimir Luka in there, and that's creeping up a little bit.
Over 300.
But yeah, it's good for the league. It's good for Telford. It's kind of win-wins all round, really. For fans of Billingham that haven't travelled down to Telford, it is a bit of a trek. It's a one-sided rink like our own. And if you sat in the wrong place, it smells. Only because the seating's bang above the dressing room, and genuinely, if you sit in the wrong place, it smells bad. But other than that, it's nice. It's a nice place to go.
Very good.
Avoid the sauce.
Big up the one-sided drinks.
Yeah, big up the one-sided drinks and avoid the sauce.
And finally, in NIHL North Division 1, last but not least, or possibly last and least, the Widnes Wild. A big kind of refresh needed after last season, John, and it looks like the Scottish experiment is over. And they're kind of slowly building and trying to get back out to how they were as a competitive mid-table NIHL team.
Yeah, they've got high hopes for a lot of positivity this year. I've spoken to one and two of them. They haven't really given me much on player signings, but they are very confident and they're very positive. The target will be playoffs. They think they can do a bit better than that. They certainly think they'll surprise a lot. They said they'll have a canny-sized squad to utilize on a weekly basis. So I'm very intrigued to see what goes on up there. It can't be any worse than it was last year, put it that way. But I think from talking to a few of them, they're going in the right direction. They understand that they can't just keep bringing in loan players or they'll have nothing left. So it's kind of a reboot and a rebuild, but one with a lot of positivity, so they say.
Yeah, no, 100%. And anything from you, Carol, on the Widnes rebuild?
Well, it's good to hear from Jono that it's all positive. It felt quite claustrophobic around Widnes last year, just because it was clearly not going to plan. It's actually quite a tricky rink to go to if they're firing. So if they've managed to put together a decent squad for this coming season, then that will be a tricky place to go, I'm quite sure. It was just so difficult for them last season. And yeah, the Scottish kind of connection was always kind of doomed to failure once Solway decided to bring in an SNL team. But all credit to them for kind of just saying this is what we need to do, communicating with the fans regularly, which is very important when you're attempting to do a rebuild. You can't just kind of build up expectation and hope for the best. It's been quite refreshing to see them telling the fans what they're doing online, which is really good. I guess from that point of view, that they are going to be a bit of an unknown quantity until they get going. But if their ambition kind of bears out and they're kind of heading towards mid-table again, then yeah, Widnes are one to look out for.
Yeah, no, again, interesting one to see. Obviously, second year head coach down there, getting another go around with his team and see how the rebuild goes in Widnes. We'll leave it there for that. Just a word on if you're following on social media, obviously Billingham Stars socials, retweet anything or reshare anything interesting on Twitter in particular, but also I'll give a shout out to Harley and NIHL North updates, covers both divisions of the NIHL North. He's doing a lot of signing stuff at the minute and doing some great content to support the NIHL North. So give that a shout on socials, on Facebook and on your Twitter and your Insta and all that jazz. Any other business before we wrap up? We've answered our mailbag questions. Both of them, 2 questions, 1 subject. That was all done in the defense segment. But we'll do another when we do another pod in the summer. We'll do another mailbag. So if anybody's got any questions, that can kind of give us a shout. Any topics to discuss. But Jono, Carol, anything to raise before we say bye bye for now?
Just from me, the Spotters Club band is also back together. The wheels are turning. There's some big news to come. Memberships also will be coming soon. I just need to confirm 1 or 2 things first. So just keep an eye out on the Supporters Club socials. But yes, some big news to come.
Super duper. And Media Supremo, keeping you busy now with obviously we need more stuff of Alan hopefully, but still plenty to keep you busy for now.
Loads to keep me busy. So, summer isn't just about signings. There'll be stuff going on about sponsorship, fixtures. They'll be due out hopefully soon. I believe that meeting's happened. Sponsorship. Oh God, all sorts of stuff. Shirts, you never know. Shirt designs would be good. All the usual summer stuff, really. trying to keep people as updated as possible. As soon as I know, I'm trying to get it out as quickly as possible. So keep watching, I guess, is the statement from Media HQ, except on Friday, when I'm telling you now, nothing is going out.
Some might say you're somewhere else on Friday.
Some might say I'm definitely maybe somewhere else on Friday.
So we'll just have to, if there's no news, we'll just have to roll with it. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yes.
Can you chip in on this? Anything, Jono?
No.
He's trying desperately to think of fun, and it's not.
No, I only had a cigarette and alcohol one, but we don't smoke, so it didn't really go down very well either.
So this is the end of the first episode of a brand new series. We're going to disappear like a champagne supernova, and we'll be back before you know it. That was whew. Yes. But yeah, keep an eye on the Stars socials. Any news will be out as soon as we physically can get it to you. Starcast will be back end of July, perhaps something end of July, beginning of August, when we have more news and things. But for now, a big thank you to Carol, a big thank you to Jono. Thank you everybody for watching and listening. Give us a message, give us a like, and all that sort of good social media stuff. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for watching and listening to Starcast. Follow us on social media and remember to subscribe and leave a review on your podcast platform.